kind of random.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is another Hip Hop Now podcast bonus episode brought to you by the sponsors, the supporters of this podcast over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. The link is in the description of this episode if you would like to become a supporter. Now, let's get into it. You're watching Video Music Box. This is a new documentary about a legendary hip-hop video show that started, I believe, in the 80s. The documentary is available via Showtime, in which is celebrating 50 years of hip-hop. Now, we're not there, right? Unless you're from the future, you know what to do. But as of right now, in 2021, this is a campaign by Showtime, and I've seen it in a couple of other media outlets to celebrate hip-hop as we get closer to 50 years of hip-hop. It's going to be a very, very big year, I feel it. But this is a documentary that was put out to jumpstart their campaign, directed by Nas, and the description reads this. We're going to get into it, don't worry. The untold story of the world's longest running video show, Video Music Box. Host Ralph McDaniel's vast footage archive reveals the show's importance to numerous big-name musicians, as well as to the kids that grew up watching. Now let me tell you, this is a review, a podcast episode on something that is embedded within my DNA, not only as a fan of hip hop, right, but also as an MC. And Video Music Box was such a vital part of me as a hip hop fan in general, hip hop head in general, because it was the access it gave me at a time where, I wasn't old enough to be at the club, right? I wasn't listening to the radio all times of night. The access to hip hop wasn't what it is today, right? Today, you can go read interviews, you can watch videos, you can watch archive footage of your favorite artists, right? You can go stream their whole catalog if you want. You can go buy their whole catalog. You can find unreleased music. You can find hard to find music. You know what I'm saying? You have complete access to up and coming artists, legendary artists, artists who are it now, artists of yesteryear. It's a different game now, but back then, sure, we had the Source magazine, but that's a magazine. What Video Music Box provided for a person like me, not only did I get a candid interview with some of the new and upcoming hip-hop artists that hadn't blown yet. They legends now, right? Like Wu-Tang, Nas, Biggie, you know what I'm saying? Pac, all these cats, you know what I'm saying? Black Moon, Boot Camp Click, Tribe Called Quest, all of these hip-hop acts. We heard their music on the radio within hip-hop mixes late at night. But Yo MTV Raps, Rap City couldn't show me what it's like to go to a club and watch them perform. Video Music Box did that, and then they're talking to these guys candidly. So one of the things that I appreciate about Drink Champs is Nori's relationship with the person he's interviewing. Because not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why it's popular is the simple fact that they open up to Nori because they trust him. And he wants to talk about the things that are on the minds of most hip-hop heads because he is one. Well, before there was a Drink Champs to give you those candid interviews, there was Video Music Box and Uncle Ralph McDaniel and the Vid Kid and Crazy Sam and all of that. And it just gave you a look into that world as these artists were coming up without having to watch, a video that they did or listen to the song. This was them raw backstage in the clubs. And in a lot of ways, it also highlighted what clubs were it and who was in them. You know what I'm saying? So that's the basis for me as a fan of Video Music Box. Now let's talk about the documentary. I can tell you like this, documentary is well worth your watch. As a hip hop fan, you don't have to be from New York. This was a public access thing for us on WNYC, on Channel 31. Everybody in NY knew, at a certain time, I need to tune in because Video Music Box is coming on. I don't know what videos he's going to play. I don't know what footage they got of what show at what club. I have to watch. And what I really like about the documentary is for those of you who didn't grow up in New York City in the 80s and in the 90s and even the 2000s where, Video Music Box still kind of had wings, right? Still was on air, even though WNYC television station went away and, in a way, Video Music Box went away for a second as well as a result. That time in the 80s and the 90s where it was popping for that channel and what was going on in hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Where you could see them early Bad Boy days. And a lot of times you saw the videos you wanted to see because they were the songs that were hot at the time. Whereas with your MTV Raps, you didn't really always know if you were going to see like, I'm trying to see, that song, or that video. That's the hottest thing out. That's the biggest buzz. No, it's not a multi-platinum thing. But with Video Music Box, you knew you was going to see the truest of hip hop, the core of what the streets was talking about the minute it came on. And I feel like this documentary did a great job of capturing that and presenting that to people who did not grow up with it. Maybe you from out of town and somebody from in town who put you on to it years ago, or maybe you visit some relatives or whatever and they put you on, so that's how you know. But there's so many people who had no idea what Video Music Box was. And the documentary does an excellent job of characterizing the exclusive access that you were getting by watching this video show versus a Yo MTV Raps or Rap City. And it was unmatched because a Yo MTV Raps and a BET Rap City, they could give you what the label could give you, right? Bring the artists on there. But the artist wasn't always comfortable. I know. Everybody in that basement wasn't comfortable. They was there because they was them. But it was, it was a stage situation. It was a little bit out of their element. And, most times it was cool. But most times, it was MTV. And we knew there was a point in time where they wasn't really playing black artists anyway, let alone rap. But when you watched it on Video Music Box, and this is backstage at the club, and everybody already respects Ralph McDaniels because of his history, and you watching a young Bad Boy Records on the rise, a young Biggie, Craig Mack on the rise, Mary J. Blige on the rise. And you have this exclusive access. You don't have to pay for cable, nothing. It's public access in New York City. A lot of what I also liked about the documentary is Ralph McDaniels. Because we all knew Ralph McDaniels was like the plug for us in New York as hip hop heads. Ralph gonna go get that footage for us. He gonna bring it back, package it, and say, "Yo, here y'all go." And there was a love and a respect and an admiration that comes across in this documentary from various artists. I mean, we talking about people being interviewed from Jay-Z, obviously Nas, to Diddy, politicians, well-respected, news people. I'm gonna just put it that way. I'm sorry, But you know what I mean? Kind of the influence that Video Music Box had and the platform it provided for some of the biggest artists you know today. And some people who, weren't artists, who were influenced by it, but now they're influencers in their own right, in their own space. And Ralph McDaniel's story, I don't think was ever told. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people recognize the fact that Ralph McDaniels was a DJ, even though he said it's DJ Ralph McDaniels, Video Music Box. You know what I'm saying? But say it all the time. And of course, older cats know, right? Because they was around. But I'm talking about cats from my era and age. We all knew that. And I think people forgot that Ralph McDaniels also directed several of your favorite hip-hop classic videos. Ralph McDaniels and crew, Big Kid also, directed Wu-Tang Clan's Cream. And Nas's It Ain't Hard to Tell. So the thing about it is, it goes so deep with this stuff that you don't have to be from New York. And don't get me wrong, he also showed love to the West too, right? And some MC Ren stuff. He was like one of the first video shows to play Straight Outta Compton's F the Police, right? It was love that was there because he was searching for the underground everywhere. And I think, bars, and I think that again with this documentary that you don't have to watch it and feel like it's a New York thing. Because if you are a hip hop head and you like some of the artists I mentioned, it's a dope way for you to understand the access in which we were afforded as hip hop heads in the mecca of hip hop around that time. And the simple fact that it's a reminder of how some people took their love of hip hop and combined it with their profession, right? Because he's a communications guy, right? Television. He just took his passion for hip hop and combined it. And, I don't want to give a lot away about the documentary and his philosophy, but learning about Ralph McDaniels, the man behind it, is just as important as learning about the show itself. And I think that's he has archives of some of the most classic exclusive footage you've ever seen. A lot of it you've seen on YouTube and memes and stuff in this Video Music Box. Seeing Biggie and Nas perform on stage together next to each other. There's some people who had never seen that until they seen like the meme of the dude wiping something off of Nas' head. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where I'm glad this was done. I'm glad Nas is in the position he is to make this happen, because a lot of these stories need to be told. Hip hop is the most popular genre of music the last couple of years, hands down. And we have a history, and we're coming up on 50 years, and it needs to be commemorated the right way. It's not just about the people who made the most money in hip hop being crowned or commemorated. They're commemorated as well. But it's about those influencers at a time where influencer wasn't an occupation, right? Or a buzzword or a false title for people who really don't have an influence, right? They're just popular. But maybe that's influential. Who knows? But to talk about people who really laid the groundwork for you to have a Yo MTV Raps or Rap City, and who did it on a level that, in a lot of ways, as hip-hop fans, with all the access we have, we would kill to have this kind of access, this kind of raw access to a crop of individuals who will come up to be the next. Because we talk about Stretch and Bobbito all day, every day, because we should. But we can't forget DJ Ralph McDaniels and the Vid Kid and Video Music Box. That's going to do it for me. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and more. TikTok, all of that, at Vegas World INC. And please know that this podcast is available wherever you get to podcasts. All you got to do is type in the search column, Hip Hop Now Podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Stay locked in to weekly hip-hop content. Please make sure to share this content with people you know would enjoy it. Until next time, y'all, I am not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.
Drop it on the random.